Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about Friend of the Devil, which is the second book in the Reckless series from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. First one was released, was it December? I think it was December 2020. I know Ed Brubaker in the first book did say that he wanted to release a trilogy of hardback books within a year. So this one came out in, I think it was April of this year, 2021. And it has taken me a while to get around to reading it because I loved that first book so much that I didn't want to rush through it. I really didn't. I wanted to sort of take my time, not rush, just kind of be like, yeah, I'll get to it eventually. I'll casually read it, knowing that the next one's going to come out in October. I started reading it a couple of days ago. Really took my time with it, and I mean, it's just another great book. It really is. So it's another one where you follow Ethan, who is the private detective who was an FBI agent until he was involved in a sort of bomb explosion where half his brain was kind of cut out, so he starts to not remember things. But as far as I'm aware, that hasn't affected him that much. I have a strange feeling that might come up in the next book, though. So this one follows him in a relationship he had in 1985 with a Vietnamese woman called Lynn. Lynn and her mother came over from Vietnam, started a relationship. Her mother started a relationship with an American man who had a daughter. Her and her stepsister got on really well, and she says to Ethan that her stepsister went missing quite a long time ago, and she wondered if there's any chance he could look into it. As the other book takes him down a sort of rabbit hole of dodgy dealings within Hollywood, really crappy producers, writers, photographers, the sort of the standard crime noir thing for any kind of Hollywood murder mystery. And I don't want to say too much. I mean, it ends with a sort of satanic cult with some sort of Nazis, but overall, just a solid story. It's not as big as the first book. It's slightly thinner, but that really didn't bother me too much. The artwork is still pretty consistent. Although I do believe that the colours was by Jacob Phillips, if I remember right, which is Sean's son. For anyone that's been following me through the website, I've actually been doing reviews of Jacob Phillips' book That Texas Blood, and during the hiatus that they had from the sort of first arc and second arc, I was really wanting to read something of a very similar kind of style, so I started picking up the books by Brubaker and Phillips, and just thought I'd give them a go. Now I'm kind of hooked, and I have to say this series is phenomenal. I know a lot of people have been telling me that I need to read Criminal. That's like one of their standout books, and I probably will get around to it at some point. But I mean, Brubaker, I think I first came across Brubaker with the Captain America Winter Soldier, and I thought that was an incredibly well written sort of like political espionage thriller, and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And it's like he just has a knack for the sort of action thrillers, because that's exactly what this is, and I could really imagine this being picked up for a series or sort of a couple of like mini films. You could even elongate them into a longer film, to be honest. The character is that kind of hardened detective. It's very much a sort of a product of like the 80s and 90s, so it's very reminiscent of the time, and it does so well at doing that, especially with the writing, with the way that characters are acting. But the artwork also reflects it as well. The artwork is also very kind of colourful, should we say. So for anyone who hasn't seen any of the artwork here, so it's not your sort of normal, really clean cut standard book of the day. it is very much we want to pay homage to the books of the 80s, early 90s, and they do that incredibly well. I mean, despite the fact that it's meant to look like that, it's still absolutely pristine in the way it's delivered, and I cannot floor it much, to be honest. The one drawback for me is the fact that I do feel that the Nazi thing has been played out a lot, especially over recent years. That's, again, the first book didn't have anything, so it was really, really kind of refreshing. With the second book, you're bringing in the neo-Nazis. It's just, I've seen so much of it over the last couple of years in comic books. It's got a bit kind of repetitive, and it's got a bit boring. Despite that, this is still an incredibly well written book. It looks fantastic as well. I cannot recommend it enough. I am very much looking forward to the next one, the third one in the series. I really do hope they continue with this, because I love the characters. I absolutely love the setting. I mean, I'm a big fan of the 80s stuff anyway. I really am. The music, the sort of the aesthetic looks to things. I love that kind of era. And I also love the hardback editions. The fact that you've got, was it Ed Brubaker who said that he grew up with his dad reading these kind of hardened Private Eyes with these fantastic covers of books, saying that he wanted to do something very similar when he got a chance to. So COVID was the chance for him to do it. These hardback books are absolutely gorgeous. They really are. I cannot recommend them enough. I think anyone who is even remotely interested in Brubaker's or Phillips' work should buy these now while they're in the hardback. If they ever get released in paperback, I think it would be essentially a crime. These are fantastic editions, and I'm not even going to lie. I have a shelf of my special editions with my my absolutes from DC, my rather nice collections from Marvel, and my Hellboy library edition over there. These actually are over there with those. That's how much I respect and love these books, that they are over there with the really expensive ones of my collection, because I think they are truly stunning, and I cannot recommend them enough. Yeah, I mean, guys, if you are a big fan of Phillips, Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker, I'd say you have to read them. If you are not too sure, I'd say give them a go. If you're not too sure about who they are, look up Ed Brubaker. If you have access to Comixology or anything like that, look up Ed Brubaker with his run on Captain America: Winter Soldier. Otherwise, you might know from the film based on his comic book. He writes incredibly well. Sean Phillips has done just an amazing job with the artwork. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you have actually read any of the Reckless series so far, if you're interested in doing it, I'd be curious. Let me know what you think. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, because that really, really does help me out. And I'll see you all in the next video.